Tattooing your face to make it look like he got Louis Vuitton glasses on. Sad. Just sad. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, an offer he can't refuse. The man who rules the world gets a job offer he can't refuse in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, an offer he can't refuse at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. I was on Facebook on Monday when one of my Facebook friends posted up a picture of a 57-year-old man who had Louis Vuitton symbols tattooed on his face and also tattooed a pair of Louis Vuitton glasses over his eyes. And as I looked at the picture of this 57-year-old man whose face was completely covered in tattoos, I just basically shook my head because this man is someone who basically is a textbook example of a man in crisis, like I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And he's a textbook example of a man in crisis because him tattooing his face with these Louis Vuitton symbols basically shows how low his self-esteem is and his self-worth, and he's placing the value of Louis Vuitton over more important intangibles of his manhood, such as his dignity, such as his self-respect. And it's just sad to see a grown man go out here and disfigure himself in this way. And it's really sad because this man is 57 years old. And again, you would think a man that old would have enough maturity and understanding in order to understand his own value as a man. But sadly, as this man has grown old and gray-headed, sadly he hasn't grown out of the dysfunctional state that he wound up as related to his adolescence. Because what happened in this man's adolescence basically is he learned, possibly from a single mother, that your self-worth and self-esteem are based on the things that you own, like Fendi, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton. And as he learned that the things that were valuable were things like Louis Vuitton bags and the Louis Vuitton brand, he learned not to value himself as a person. And as a result, he basically has gone to the point where he's just gone to this point where he just thinks Louis Vuitton is everything. And that's a really sad place for a grown man to be. It's a sad place for a grown man to be that you see Louis Vuitton as the most important thing in your life, to the point where you would go to the point where you would disfigure yourself to look like literally like a human Louis Vuitton bag or a pair of Louis Vuitton sunglasses on your face. That's the sad part about looking at this picture of this man, is that he basically shows again his low self-esteem and low self-worth. Now, I don't know if this guy is somebody who basically has mental health problems, or if they're low IQ, or as I'm believing, he basically is someone who is possibly possessed by the devil. Because when it comes down to a lot of this tattooing, as I talked about in my book, The Woman Crisis, a lot of folks who go out here and get these tattoos, what happens is that these people are susceptible to evil spirits, and as the evil spirit takes over their body, what the evil spirit does is influence them to go out here and put markings on their body that the demon tells them will make them more appealing. But what they don't know from the perspective as related to the Word of God is that you're basically, again, disgracing the temple of the Holy Spirit by putting these markings on your body. And these markings that the person is putting on their body basically are one of the great sins, which is idolatry, because this person basically has made an idol out of Louis Vuitton to the point where they basically have marked their entire body to look like on their forehead like a Louis Vuitton bag, and having these Louis Vuitton glasses over their eyes. I mean, this person basically is wearing the whole face that Satan has put on their face, and this whole face is a complete mockery of God. That's the other sad part about this. This person is thinking that they're doing something great as related to showing their love for Louis Vuitton, but as they participate in this idolatry, they show how little they love the God who created them. And what's even sadder than that is that this guy, as he's participating in this ultimate act of self-hatred, shows a love for a company that shows no love for foundational black Americans. Now, when it comes down to these high-end brands like Fendi, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, many black people idolize these brands made by these foreign white designers, and they will go out here and dig for money in their couch to have the money to buy things like the Louis Vuitton bags or the Louis Vuitton glasses like this guy does. And what they do is show again how much they idolize white people's brands and idolize them to the point where they show how little they value their blackness. And what's the saddest part about that is that they don't see that many of these companies have absolutely no regard for them as a person. They have absolutely no regard for you as a person. No, they could care less about you at all. And as you go out here spending, I think maybe $150 or $300 an hour getting their tattoos of their brand on your face, what these companies are doing is they could care less about you. And that's the thing that flies over the heads of many black people out here. They go out here and worship these companies and their brands like Nike, Fendi, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. And as they worship these companies, sadly, what they do is put the value of these products over more important things like their dignity, like their self-respect and their self-worth, and say that the products that these companies make in Chinese factories for possibly less than $2 or $3 is more valuable than they are, because to, again, disfigure your face by putting the symbols of a company on your face, that has to be either one of three things. It has to either be low IQ, where the person is not very smart and basically needs somebody there to be there to look out for them, or it means that the person has a serious case of mental illness where they basically have no sense of logic or understanding as related to caring for themselves. Or the third one that I believe is happening here is that you have a 57-year-old man who has basically been possessed by the devil to think that, hey, if I put these symbols on my face, this is a good thing. Again, this is not the behavior that a healthy, logical thinking man does. No, a logical thinking man understands, yeah, I may like brands like Gucci, I may like brands like these high-end fashion brands, but I understand that, yeah, I want to buy these things. And the craziest part is that this guy could have just gone out here and got himself a pair of Louis Vuitton sunglasses for the same price as that tattoo. Because again, tattoos, basically, it's multiple dollars an hour in order to pay to get a tattoo this extensive on your face. And this guy could have just got the glasses and basically kept his dignity. But sadly, when you are dealing with a lot of black folks like this, who are completely spellbound and are wedded to trying to fit themselves into the world of white people and look to seek out white acceptance, what happens with those black people is they sacrifice I'll repeat it once more, their intangibles of their character, in an effort to try to gain acceptance as related to elevating their social status. And it's sad to see a guy who's supposed to be an elder just be an older, and an older who basically has grown old but hasn't grown up, because the example he's showing to the younger generations is a dysfunctional one. The example he's showing our younger brothers and sisters is that you have to sacrifice all of your intangibles in order to try to gain some acceptance of white society, and basically showing how he's showing how he just doesn't understand anything about life, didn't learn any lessons about being a man, never learned how to value himself as a man, never learned anything about having a sense of pride or self-esteem. These are things that a boy needs to learn at an early age, because when a boy learns these things at an early age, he understands there are things in life that are way more important than some sunglasses that basically cost $1.50 for them to make in China, maybe even cost a couple of cents for them to make in China, that they charge you maybe $300-400 for. And you need to understand that there are things that have more value than these brands out here. There's more things that have more value than these brands out here. And you don't want to brand yourself and show you're a slave to somebody else's business, because that's basically what this guy is doing. He's showing how he's a slave to somebody else's business, and as a slave will go out here and look to sacrifice everything to be a part of a brand of a white corporation that basically wouldn't even give this guy the time of day if he walked into that company and asked for a job. I mean, if this same black man who loved Louis Vuitton walked into that same company looking for a job, even if he didn't have the tattoos on his face, they would have shown him the door. And that's the thing that, again, many of these black folks who get caught up in these brands don't understand. I mean, if these companies won't go out here and give you a job to work for them, then why are you working so hard to go out here and brand yourself with their merchandise? That's the critical question I'm asking all these folks out here who are into the Fendi, the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton. I mean, if you walk into that company and you can't get a job at that company, why am I going out here and going to the extent where I'm just, again, digging in my couch to give these folks money? Why am I going in my couch and fighting to scrape up money to go out here and get one of their bags, or go out here and get some of their clothes, or going to the extremes like this guy is doing to tattoo your face? I mean, if this company won't even consider you for employment, why are you giving them your money? And again, you wouldn't do this even for God in a lot of cases. That's what I see with these folks. I mean, if God told you to do something, you wouldn't do it, but you would go out to these lengths for this white person and their company. And that just shows the length and depth of how some people are enslaved by this system of white supremacy, that they are so wedded to a corporate brand of a white corporation that they go to the length that you, again, disfigure yourself. That's the just troubling part about looking at this picture. It's a troubling picture of a grown man who, again, just doesn't know anything about manhood or masculinity, dignity, self-respect, the things that make a man the man that he is. I mean, this picture is embarrassing to look at as related to somebody who lived 57 years, and this is all that they say they have accomplished. I mean, this basically, it's a textbook example of people failing this man and him failing himself. And I dare to say people failing this dude, because any other man, any tattoo artist worth their salt would tell this man, no, don't be putting this stuff on your face. Don't do that, because you're going to make yourself unemployable, and you're going to make yourself, it's not a good look. But the people who, because again, I remember in 2003, I saw a guy with tattoos on his face, and usually that either means that you were in prison or you had some sort of mental health problem, and that, or the cases I see it, like possessed by, again, I say possessed by the devil, because the devil will fool you into thinking you're doing something like this and it's good, but the whole thing is it just shows a reflection of how twisted your soul is and how the devil is taking your soul and taking your soul by disfiguring your body and showing it as a reflection of the evil that he is. And when I look at this dude, it disturbs me, because this is, as I see it, I keep repeating it, but it's what happens when you get possessed by the devil, and the devil fools you into doing things that basically show how much your soul has been compromised by Satan. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the deeply troubling behavior of beta males like this, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com, along with The Woman Crisis, where I talk about tattoos and the Woman Crisis, which also pertains to the Man Crisis. And you can understand why you don't want to go out here and tattoo yourself like this man in this picture. And you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me go out here and go in depth into it to tattoo guys like this and take them to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.